Përshëndetje, and welcome back to another episode of the EaglePod. I'm your host, Lorena, and I'm so happy that you're here. Today's episode is a guest episode, which I know you guys are going to love. My guest today is Klea Ahmet, and I'm so excited to have her on the pod. So thank you for being here, Klea. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing well. It's been a tough week, but we're here.
That's good. So I'd kind of like to start this off by just briefly introducing yourself. So were you born here? What do you do?
Yeah. So I was born in Albania, specifically in Korç,
Mhm.
and I came to the United States when I was just about 2 years old. Um, yeah, I had just turned 2 years old when I came to the United States, and then I grew up in Michigan, specifically in Birmingham, Michigan. So it's just a town in Metro Detroit.
Mhm.
I went to elementary school, middle school, and high school my whole life here in America. So really, even though I was born in Albania, it's just because you live here for so long and going back is hard with like school schedules and getting time off of work for my parents specifically. It was hard. So, um, yeah, since I've lived here my whole life, I really found my community in Michigan, like my little Albania. That's what I
Aw.
think of it. Yeah, and then I went to undergrad at Michigan State University. I studied human biology and physiology, and I also got my minors in entrepreneurship and leadership.
Oh, that's awesome. I know there's a lot of Albanians. The Albanian community in Michigan is pretty big and so many opportunities up there. Um, I also saw you were three-time recipient of the Gjergj Kastrioti Scholarship.
Yeah. So I did my undergrad in 3 years just
Mhm.
because I kind of had like my parents moved to Florida during COVID, and that's when I started undergrad.
Oh,
So I did my undergrad fast. I got a lot of AP credits from high school, so that
mhm.
kind of took off almost a whole year. So I didn't have to do an extra year, but it was really beneficial for me because I took the time from applying from from a high school to undergrad to really gather my resources and figure out what how I can, because college is expensive, and
Oh,
how I
yeah.
can accumulate those financial
Mhm.
resources. And I came across the Gjergj Kastrioti Scholarship, so I applied my first time, and I didn't think I was gonna get it because I was like, Why would I get it? There's so many Albanians here," and yeah, I didn't know if I was gonna get it, and I
Yeah.
applied relatively early because you know how they always say, apply to college early,
Oh,
apply
yeah.
always apply
Everything
early.
early. Yeah.
Exactly. So I applied early and I got it my first year. That was
Mhm.
during COVID. And then they have like an annual gala where they kind of honor the students. They bring motivational speakers. They also passed recipients speak. And I applied again. They didn't have that the first year, obviously, because of COVID. And I applied
Yeah.
again and I got it. But you also have to keep in mind that you have to do well throughout your undergrad in order to not to. It's not guaranteed, but
Yeah.
you have to do well in
To
order
have the
to
best chance to, get,
exactly.
yeah.
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 And so that's why I just worked really hard,
Mhm.
and even throughout undergrad, the Gjergj Kastrioti community, they really stood as like pillars for you to go to. They have like workshops that you do, like your first semester of undergrad,
Yeah.
uh, or the first semester of the fall semester of the school year, and they have those workshops, and this really helps you to get to know other Albanian people that are Albanian students that are within the Albanian community, and this was really inspirational because you know that there's Albanians everywhere, but a lot of them they stick to like the people that you know, and that's like similar
I
with
agree, yes.
yeah. In Birmingham, it was farther from where most Albanians were,
Yeah.
and I didn't really have that many. I was the only Albanian girl in my high school, or
Uh,
just the only foreign specifically. So like it kind of you always like want to feel that home and you want to feel that
Yeah.
community. And so the Gjergj Kastrioti community really um, worked to do that. And it was inspirational. It was great, especially they have members on their board from all different career aspects. So
Yeah.
if like for me, I was in medicine, they had a doctor, which was really helpful at the time, resident, but now doctor. So yeah, they're always a great source.
You mentioned, so you were born in Corch, you moved here when you were around 2 years old. Was it hard for your family to like just adjust coming here and like you trying to learn English and just that transition from like living in Albania? Well, you were 2, you probably don't even remember much, but I'm just saying in general for like your family and the way like you were raised here, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. That's like with every immigrant that comes,
Mhm.
regardless of their background. It's always hard assimilating to a new
Yeah.
culture, especially with America being kind of like a melting pot.
Hmm.
Um, that was hard for them just because they didn't have any family. It's like you have friends here and there that you know live in America, but at that time it wasn't, internet wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Communication you had to pay by phone, like whatever the cards were.
Yeah.
That was harder for them, and especially not having their parents, that was tough. But it really, their resilience and their determination really showed me that okay, anything is possible. If they did it with nothing, with no one, you can do it, and you have people and you have a community, and they built that themselves. They built friendships, and they built just an overall community, whether it was professional or like personal. It was always there, which was really helpful.
Yeah. Have you had any mentors or role models that kind of played a significant role in your journey, academic journey, or just personal life?
Absolutely. I think when I think about the people who have had like the most significant impact on my journey, I can think of two specific names, and they're kind of different in a way, but like
Okay.
similar. My first mentor would be my mom.
Hmm.
She, it's actually funny. My and the second mentor actually is Mother Teresa. But the reason why there's like a fascinating connection between the two is that my mom, her name is Agnesa, and then Mother Teresa's real name is Agnes. So that's kind of like, I don't know, like they're past their
The
names,
connection,
but
yeah.
exactly like
Yeah.
the values that they share, it truly like resonates with me.
Mhm.
Um, Specifically, the I look at both of them as being selfless women, boundless with boundless compassion, and just a dedication to serving others.
Yeah.
And my mom, she came to America in her early 20s. She left everything she knew behind, her parents, her siblings. So that was definitely hard for her. But like I said, it's her resilience, her compassion, and her selflessness that really, like, it's been a testament for her, really, and just putting the needs of others ahead of her own needs. It was very similar to Mother Teresa, and one of Mother Teresa's quotes that really resonates within me is, not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love. And that kind of inspires me because it really encapsulates the essence of both my mom's and Mother Teresa's life philosophy. And also growing up, I watched my mom live by the principle every single day. I mean, it's not easy coming to America with one kid and then having another one like soon after,
Mhm.
and at a young age as well. I mean, everyone's like, her dream specifically was to go to school, but obviously she couldn't do that because she had two kids and she had a husband and like a family that
Yeah.
she had to support as well.
Yeah.
So that was hard for her. But just she prioritized others' well-being and showed the power of true unconditional love. And this hasn't just shaped who I am as an individual, but also it's influenced my like aspirations and dedication in medicine as well.
Mhm.
Um, Both figures, they've kind of taught me what that it's not just about the big achievements, but
Mhm.
also about making a difference through small acts of kindness and love. And as I personally, for me, as I move forward with my career in medicine in the future, I'm driven by this example set by both my mom and Mother Teresa. And it's just instilled a profound belief in the importance of compassion and service, and it's just motivating to put others before myself. So I hope that through the lessons that I've learned specifically from my mom, I can hopefully be half the person she is as a future doctor.
Oh, that's amazing. That was so inspirational. Let's just take a moment. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
And now it's time to take a break from our main topic and add a little bit of fun into your day with our fun fact of the day. So today's fun fact is, in Albanian culture, nodding indicates no, while shaking the head signifies yes. So for those of you, I feel like this is common sense for any Albanian out there, but for those of you who are not from Albania, American, interested in learning about Albanian culture, or planning on traveling to Albania this year, which, by the way, it has been recognized as the top destination in Europe for the year 2023. And it's just a beautiful country, and I suggest everyone visit Albania at least once in their lifetime. But if you're doing that, it's essential to be mindful of these cultural differences to prevent any misunderstandings that can obviously happen. And now back to our guest speaker. You're doing your master's now in what is it, biology or biomedical
It's
sciences?
biomedical sciences. So I'm doing it's a master's of science, and then in conjunction with the MD school, I'm at Nova Southeastern University.
Mhm,
So it's a 1 year master's program.
mhm.
And then after this year, uh, you still have to go through the interview process, but hopefully if it goes well, then you just
It
matriculate.
will, it will.
I hope.
Yeah. So how do you kind of try to balance the demands of your professional and personal life?
Yeah. So for me personally, it's always been having a schedule. I'm a really like cross the list type of person.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's always helped me, and just planning out in advance. Of course, there's things that are going to happen. And I feel like undergrad really helps you with that. That teaches you how to balance a lot of things, because I look at what I did in undergrad compared to now in grad school, and it's different because you're so busy with clubs and organizations
Oh
and
yeah.
volunteering and all the
Mhm.
things that you have to do to get into
Yeah.
medical school.
Yeah.
And then now, once you're in it, it's like you study all day and you get involved with here and there with a couple things, and you still have to volunteer and all that stuff, but not to the extreme or to the fast pace of how it was in undergrad. So definitely for me, it's been to have a schedule,
Oh,
and also just surrounding yourself with people and with friends.
mhm.
For me, it was a little harder doing that coming here, just because, yeah, I had my parents, but they live on the other side of the state. I'm in Fort Lauderdale,
Mhm.
and it was harder for me to kind of make friends. But the good thing about these programs is they're smaller, so you really get to know your class better. And this is what helped me just kind of make friends, because you're all in the same boat, you're all trying to achieve the same goal. And just knowing that when you're, because in undergrad you have all these different careers and people as
Yeah.
well, and here it's also different, like different cultures and everything, but you all are working towards one goal. And this really helps you, especially having a support system friendship wise,
Yeah.
that can motivate you when you're not feeling motivated, because it's gonna happen. It's life.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
not always gonna wake up every
No,
single
I
day,
agree.
I got this. So it's good to have that motivation, that support system.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I did my master's in health administration, and I know what you mean by the undergrad stuff, because like in undergrad, you have a lot of people that change their majors. Yeah, do I want to do research? Do I really want to go to med school? Do I really want to just do this and forget everything else? So it's just like when you get into grad school, you're like, okay, well, this is another step. Like I've decided on this degree. It's more focused, and the people that you have around you are all kind of have similar goals in mind. So
Yeah,
that kind of
I
brings
agree.
everyone a little bit
I
closer
agree.
together. Yeah. So Clea, has there been a specific moment in life where you faced a significant struggle or breakthrough?
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, my parents decided to move to Florida during COVID,
Mhm.
and I decided to stay at Michigan State University to finish my undergrad. The whole transfer process, transferring schools, changing majors because not all of them have the same requirements, and also with the whole AP credit thing, I kind of benefited from it because I was able to graduate a whole year early,
Mhm.
and even though it was really hard for me, that was probably one of the biggest challenges that I faced. I've always had them close by, and their presence is a constant comfort in my life specifically. So when you make that move and stepping into an unfamiliar environment and outside of your comfort zone,
Yeah.
without their physical support, because I always had it, they were just a phone call away, but it was
Yeah.
one of the hardest things that I've had to do, and it really like hits you hard when you travel. I was only able to travel during the holidays and over the summer, and you know, it was hard saying goodbye, knowing that the miles would separate us
Mhm.
physically, but knowing that like you're gonna be there as soon as like okay, I was gonna be done with undergrad, and I was like, okay, I'm going to apply to schools in Florida in hopes to just stay close to my parents.
Yeah.
Um, and it wasn't really my decision to move to Florida wasn't entirely being close to my parents like physically. Of course, that's my main reason as to why I came here, but it was also like prioritizing my mental health as well. I have done so much better here, not just academic wise, because I think I did pretty well in undergrad, but just coming here, it's just been so much easier knowing that you have that comfort and you have that close proximity. And, when you don't have exams for a weekend, I just always go to my parents' house or they
Mhm.
come over here. So
Yeah.
it was really nice. And something that inspired me when I was going through this, like it was difficult for me. I just realized that time on earth is so precious and it's so limited. Like we think that we're gonna have all day, but you never know what tomorrow is gonna bring. So spending your time with the ones that you love and understanding why you're making those moves, for it's not just for them, but it's for yourself and for them. Because for me, my whole education process has not just been for me, but it's been for my parents because they didn't go to college. So I kind of like am going to college and they're like living it through me
Yeah.
in
No.
a way. So yeah, it's been amazing living here with my parent or close to my parents. It's not just allowed me to be there for them and for them to be there here for me, but it's also impacted my personal and my professional growth. I've just been doing better. It's been more inspiring. You strive for more, and you just the opportunities are endless when you have your parents, and that it's just that comfort. It's not necessarily any other type of support, but just the emotional and spiritual support.
Okay, so I also saw that you were part of the Future Physician Summer Enrichment Program. Um, would you kind of like to talk a little bit about that and how that experience shaped your current role or
Yeah, so in this was actually in high school in 2019 for me. I the local university that was close to my house, they had this program. They were partnered with the hospital in Michigan, and so they had this program called the Future Physicians Enrichment Summer Program, and I applied to it knowing that they only accepted 40 in the entire state of Michigan. I was shooting my shot. I was like, okay, let's see if I if I get this. If not, it's not the end of the world, but it would be really nice.
Mhm.
So I ended up getting accepted, and honestly, this experience was so amazing. It was really not just learning about medicine and connecting with medical students, but also networking. You networked with the directors and administration people, and you learn so much about the behind the scenes of medicine. This program, not only do you learn about um, being like putting yourself in the shoes of being a doctor, but also connecting with other people around the world and understanding how the system works and dealing with like with insurances and with like patient communication, because that's so important. I feel like As future physicians, you are so focused on taking care of the patient, but you're not really focusing on listening to the patient, because you can't take care of others without listening. And that this program really like helped me and taught me, um like when you're doing rounds and when you're communicating with your each patient individually and figuring out what their problem is and what they're going through, and then coming up with like a treatment plan. um, and that was really important for me and really inspiring. I met so many people in that program from all over the state of Michigan, and I learned so much about different career paths, even though they were interested in medicine. Some of them were interested in like more of the administration side. Some of them were interested in medicine but didn't know what kind of, like, how they wanted to help.
Specialty. Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of them, some of them actually ended up going into like PA school and NP school. So this program was not, it was for future physicians essentially, but it was also discovering what you really are interested in, um, and how you can benefit from that and make an impact on others. And I really used this experience, in partnership with like what I wanted to do in the future and linking with, um, like my future goals in my careers, into my career. And after doing this program, and COVID happened a year later, then there was a medical student at the time who was hosting the first free clinic, Albanian free clinic in Michigan at the church at St. Paul's. And I remember messaging her. I'm like, okay, I know I'm not a doctor. I'm not even in medical school yet. I'm not even an undergrad, but I'm interested in like helping out in whatever way that I can. And so I
That's
ended
so
up,
ambitious of you.
I know, I was like, okay, the worst thing she can do is like either not respond or say no. So I was like, let's just give it a shot. And so I messaged her and I got put into like a volunteering role. And even though it wasn't much, it was just um, taking the temperatures. So this was like when I messaged her, she was planning on starting it during COVID, but COVID happened. So then it had to occur after COVID. So for me, it was just something simple as like taking temperature, and taking the blood pressure. It wasn't anything too fancy or, yeah, but it was really like an open door for me, and I got to um, network with a lot of Albanians that are into medicine, whether it's pharmacy, whether it's dentistry, podiatry, or just medicine in general with different specialties. It was very um, inspirational to know that there are other people that are doing it. And really, it created like a support system, like a mentorship. So, kind of going back to what you asked me earlier, like now that I'm thinking about it, also another support system is just my involvement with the Albanian-American Medical Society. That's also a big one for me, because you realize that there's people that are also in medicine, whether it's they've already done medical school in Albania or Kosovo or outside of America, and then they have to, like, they get to be doctors here after taking their exams. Um, it was just shows that everyone's journey is different, um, but like your journey is different, but it really shapes you into the person that you are. And this is kind of like another thing that my parents have also taught me. It's not really about the destination, it's about the journey. It's how you get there. Um, and that really shapes you and who you're going to be. Because not life's a roller coaster. It's not always pavement. It's
Yeah.
smooth. So that was like inspiring for me.
It is now time for our Q&A session. This is a newer segment of the podcast, and I'll ask our guests 5 fun and personal questions, and I'll also take questions from our listeners through our Instagram page as well. So if you have questions for future guests, please make sure to follow our Instagram page, EaglePod _. We have Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. So all the pages linked in the bio.
Okay. Are you a morning bird or a night owl?
Definitely a morning bird.
Okay. Yeah, same here. I feel like if I don't wake up early to get my workout in, get my coffee, I'm not a person.
Same. I know, I always have to make sure, and it can be a pain in the morning, but
Yeah,
it's, you always start your day off.
yeah. When are you most inspired?
Specifically in the morning, but location wise, recently it's been the beach, but when I have like school or exams during the week, it's harder to get to the beach. I live like 15-minute drive from it, but it's been just my patio. I just look out at the palm trees and the lake that we have in front of my apartment. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I was gonna ask you that, the adjustment from like moving to Florida from Michigan, where it's like icy and cold and
Yeah, it was honestly it was different, but because I've been to Florida so many times in different like seasons and different times of the year, it wasn't that big of an adjustment. Plus I was so tired of the cold. I couldn't stand it. Just driving in ice and
yeah.
snow. It was
I
scary.
ew.
I mean, here you have rain, which I guess it's better at least, but yeah, the driving here in Florida is it's an adventure.
Yeah. You have the iguanas too, right? Those
Yeah. Yeah, I
it's
actually see them all
everywhere,
the time.
I've
And the
heard.
lizards on the wall, especially when I first saw them, and I was like, why are they on the wall? And my friends were always telling me, like, oh yeah, like make sure when you get inside, like you close the door fast, because they'll go inside your house. And I was like, what?
That's hilarious. Yeah, I was telling my mom that because I have some friends that live in Florida, and she was like, iguanas. She's like, no way, we're never moving to Florida ever. She would.
And like people always say about the alligators, and yes, I get that, but I guess I haven't been here for a long time, but
Yeah.
I've been here since I moved here in May. But I have yet to see one, and my parents have been here for a couple of years, and they still haven't seen one either. So I'm like, okay, I just want to see one just to say that I've seen.
Okay, so what song can you listen on repeat?
Oh gosh. Okay, it's definitely gonna be an Albanian song. Honestly, I don't have a specific song, but I love Durata Dora, so any one of her
Oh,
songs.
really?
Yeah, like any one of her songs on repeat.
Okay, three things you can't live without.
Um, okay, well, I mean, it's sad to say this, but our phone. Uh,
Definitely.
my phone. Um, Probably a book. I finished it a couple months ago. It's called Atomic Habits. I really like that, and I always go back to it. Um, and lastly, I don't know, probably like, oh, I have a piece of jewelry my grandma gave me, so probably that. It's really
Oh.
sentimental to me, but that's yeah, that's what I can think of.
Sweet or savory?
Oh, definitely sweet. Even though like I shouldn't because I don't want to get cavities, but definitely
Yeah,
sweet.
yeah,
What about you?
and savory. I have
Really?
my moments, yes, but savory, I just feel like, I don't know. I just
Yeah.
think of like bread and that olive thing. You know what the olive
Oh
oil
yeah,
with
with
herb spices,
yeah, like the
like
black pepper.
pickles or like
Yeah.
tortilla, like anything like that. Give me a whole plate.
No, yeah, I totally like that too. But
Yeah,
I think I crave sweets more.
yeah. Okay, thank you, Klea, for being on the pod. I look forward to hearing all about your accomplishments in the future. Thank you for sharing your insights and advice to all the Albanian American listeners out there. And so I really appreciate it. Um,
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And it was great talking to you. And anyone in general, if they're listening to this and they just want someone to talk to, I'm always just a LinkedIn request away
yeah.
or Instagram request away.
And if you guys have any questions for Klea, feel free to comment below or just reach out and follow her on LinkedIn. And like she said, she's more than happy to answer all your questions. So thank you.
Well, that brings us to the end of another insightful episode. A huge thank you to Klea Ahmet for sharing her experience and insights with us today. I hope our listeners found as much value in this conversation as I did. As we wrap up, I want to remind you to subscribe and comment down below. And thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you in the next episode.